When playing any game, whether FPS or MOBA, there is always that one match that you play where your opponents control the entirety of the game, and no matter how perfect you play, there's just no way of winning. And today we're going to be breaking down one of those games. But what causes this sort of snowball effect? Join me as we break down FlyQuest versus 100 Thieves in this LCS Monday Night League matchup. So let's jump straight into Champion Select, starting with the first set of bans. And on FlyQuest's side, they ban out the Soraka, the Senna, and the Set, the Triple S, and 100 Thieves ban out Rumble, Yuumi, and Riven. Now, we'll start by discussing these bans, and Soraka is one of them new top picks that have been predominantly played here in 10.3, and very strong. It's essentially a secondary support that's just there to press R and do a lot of healing. Senna, I don't like this ban because Senna's fallen off so much in this current patch, and there's so many better options to play in that bot side map at the moment. But she does offer quite a decent amount of scale and is very, very strong. And Set is a very, very bulky, disruptive fighter who just will make any fight really annoying and hard to essentially engage onto, because he will just pull you apart piece by piece. As for the 100 Thieves bans, they take out the Rumble, very, very strong mid laner or top laner who can layer in that CC and the damage on top of Jarvan ults and also MF ults. So if you remove him, essentially you're removing the combo, and you're kind of forcing, say, if FlyQuest don't take an Aphelios, to take MF. Now, as for their last two bans, Yuumi and Riven are kind of targeted bans, as yesterday we saw Ignar playing the Yuumi against TSM, and TSM losing out to that Yuumi's essentially high amount of healing, as well as that late game poke her Q provides. And Riven is obviously targeted ban at Viper, who's really known for his Riven play, and he would probably carry the game if he got it, and it essentially means that 100 Thieves don't want him on a carry-esque champion. So we jump into the first picks of champions here, and immediately FlyQuest lock in that Aphelios, probably the top dog in terms of bot laners in the current meta, as he's just got so much actual strength in his abilities. He's more situational, granted, than most ADCs, but he is still very, very strong and is a top thing that everyone picks. Now, as for 100 Thieves' response, they don't just lock in their bot laner. They lock in for someday an Aatrox. Now, Aatrox obviously is a very, very high damage mid to late game top laner who can flank fights and be a nuisance throughout the entirety of the game. And as well as locking in that Aatrox, they lock in the Rakan to go alongside it as an engage tool. Now, FlyQuest look to counter these picks by going for their own top laner here, and they lock in for themselves the Ornn. Now, Ornn as a whole is very, very bulky. He can upgrade his team's items, and he can obviously provide such a good engage with the Ornn Horn, and essentially counter any flank if the Aatrox is caught out of position. And considering 100 Thieves have already locked in their support, there's no Braum on their side to stop the Ornn Horn from actually being effective. And similarly, they lock in Thresh, so Braum is kind of not there on the table, so FlyQuest just take the Thresh, provide a bit more safety to the Aphelios and the rest of the FlyQuest team, as well as an engage tool. Now, that does mean that 100 Thieves get the Xayah here, which was kind of obvious they were going to pick this up because they locked in Rakan as their second pickup, and seeing as though FlyQuest already had the Aphelios locked in, it kind of meant that Xayah was going over free. And that bot lane is very, very strong as a whole. You've got such good combination between Xayah and Rakan. You obviously have their extended E on the Rakan, as well as the extra attack speed when Xayah Ws. And yeah, it's very, very good combo bot lane and is quite strong. So, let's break down the last ban phase. And we see bans here targeted towards Gragas and LeBlanc, as well as Lee Sin and Olaf on the 100 Thieves side. And I like these bans, honestly. Gragas and LeBlanc, both strong AP champions. Gragas obviously is very disruptive, similar to their set ban earlier on by FlyQuest. Also is an AP jungler, so he gets removed off the field, leaving just Elise if 100 Thieves want to go for an AP jungler. And FlyQuest also banned that LeBlanc, obviously very high burst damage champion, late game, does so much roaming, able to split push and kind of keep up with Arise if they were to pick up Arise. But yeah, I like these bans by FlyQuest because if we look at 100 Thieves' team right now, they're all AD. You've got an Aatrox who's AD and a Xayah who are your two big damage mid-game damage dealers, and they're both fully AD, so you're kind of essentially limiting it down to, say, a Zoe, a Syndra, or even in the jungle an Elise for AP champions, and predominantly people don't really want to play that Elise at the moment because she's quite squishy, and considering how FlyQuest have drafted so far, they have quite a lot of tanky members, so they're able to withstand the pressure that's an Elise would put out. Now, as for the 100 Thieves bans, the Lee Sin and Olaf, both very early game champions that are very, very strong. Obviously, you've got that ability to roam quite quickly on a Lee Sin by ward hopping, and on Olaf, you've got that quick clear speed because you can just keep chucking them Qs over and over and over and roam between camps quite quickly. And setting up counter ganks is quite good. You've also got a good engage from the Lee Sin, and yeah, it's very, very strong. I would have preferred 100 Thieves picking up an Olaf, say, but I get why they don't, because he's obviously AD and it would be very easy for the Ornn to just build armor and be effective that way. But yeah, them bans make sense and overall are pretty good. So, we jump into the last pick phase, and 100 Thieves lock in for themselves a Sejuani, which provides an engage tool for them alongside that Rakan, as well as a tankier member for the team, because they're quite squishy, the three members that's been picked already, and it also semi-counters the Ornn, as it stops the Ornn horn. In the sense, you can stop the second part of it if you hit the Sedgel at the right time, and it kind of means that he's not going to be stunning up multiple members in the team fight. Now, FlyQuest also lock in for themselves in this spot the Syndra, which is their only AP champion at this time. And obviously, she has a lot of AP damage to pump out. Obviously, she can hit multi-man Scatter of the Weeks, similarly to how Ornn can hit multi-man with the Call of the Forge God. And yeah, it's very, very nice combo. You can obviously get that CC chain going, and it's very, very good. As for their last pick here for FlyQuest, they go for something that can combo really, really well with the Ornn. And it's a Trundle. You can create pillars that allows the Ornn to hit up multiple people in the air in different spots, and it's very, very good. Obviously, you are providing your team with a lot more bulkier members. You've got three possible tanks here with the Ornn, the Thresh, and the Trundle, and you're kind of saying, we're looking to team fight with this setup, and you've only got AD champions, really, and we're just going to build up our tank stats so you cannot physically kill us. And 100 Thieves should notice at this point, so they lock in a very single target heavy AP champion in the Zoe. Obviously, to semi burst out the members, she's obviously got two main targets she should be hitting with her Paddle Star and Sleepy Trouble Bubbles in the Syndra and the Aphelios. Whether or not she can get onto them, as Syndra's semi-counters her with the Scout of the Week. You just place the ball on where she goes and then lines up the Scout of the Week to where she originally portaled from. And yeah, you kind of win the fight that way. But that is going to be this champion select broken down for you, and we'll get into the actual game for you guys. Now, when looking at this FlyQuest draft, you would assume that they'd be looking to teamfight throughout the entirety of the game and use their own items to build up an advantage in items and win out cleanly by using the CC lockup that they have and winning the team fight. And you'd be right. That is how you would win with this team comp. However, FlyQuest try a different approach, and the way they win is through their vision control, the tracking of Meteos, and then basically freeing up the objectives by bursting out Meteos. Now this clip is a perfect example of this, as 100 Thieves are trying the immediate spawn Herald kill, and FlyQuest are aware of it. They have a ward placed in prime position that sees all of the members of 100 Thieves go into the pit. They even know where Meteos is, and what we see is they burst out the Rakan who's trying to stop them from engaging, all while killing off Meteos so that he has to run away and there's no contest left on the Herald, so FlyQuest get that with ease. Now, obviously, this is a key thing that gets them quite a few turret plates here in the mid lane, and almost the entire tower. They get 3 plates, as well as pushing in the bot lane as well. But that wasn't the only time we see Meteos being caught out, as yet again around another objective, this time the Ocean Drake, we see FlyQuest setting up early vision around it and trying to essentially set up for this. Now, they roam up to mid to try and get Zoe to back in order to get free pressure onto the Ocean Dragon pit without having to go for it, and then we see Sejuani walk way too far in, and all of the FlyQuest members immediately come in and try and collapse to kill it off. Now, they don't get the Sedge, and they don't kill anyone in this fight, but you see, they start to fight on the Sedge and not the Zoe in mid, because they want to pressure him away from the actual fight, so that they can get free objectives and get themselves their second dragon. And this is very, very effective throughout the game because it happens again. And we come back again at the 3rd dragon spawn, and we start to see it again, the targeting of Meteos and forcing him out of the fight, as he's just wasted his ult, and it's a 4v3 in favour of 100 Thieves here. However, FlyQuest are playing the vision and trying to keep track of Sedge. Sedge oversteps on its own fruition, blows flash, and is really low, so has to back out the fight. And yet again, it's another fight where no one is really killed. A lot of flashes are blown on the 100 Thieves side as the collapse comes in quite quickly from FlyQuest. But it does mean that because Sedge has burnt her flash, is really low, has to go back to base again, and it puts FlyQuest on sole point because they're just focusing out the only real threat to the fight and the objective in the Sejuani, and it's really, really strong objective play, and in the last clip we see that fully. Now, because FlyQuest have actually pushed the map well and gotten outer turret lines, they were able to advance their ward lines up so far that they've got quite a bit of vision in the enemy jungle, and they're able to track Meteos, as he's clearing out wards in his jungle, he goes over to another ward, and it gives them a perfect knowledge of where he is. And obviously, with a Thresh, you're going to immediately hook him. And as soon as you do, that means that he is dead to rights at this point, because the damage on FlyQuest's side has built up so much that it essentially means that he is gonna die. And because he's dead, right when the Mountain Drake is up, that kind of means that you're gonna get a free Mountain Dragon. And unless you want to contest a 4v5 as 100 Thieves, when you have carries on literally 1.5 items or even 2, you're not going to be winning a fight against a very, very far ahead in terms of gold FlyQuest team. And that essentially does mean that 100 Thieves concede that Mountain Soul, and the very, very tanky members of FlyQuest get that big resistance and shielding that kind of mean that they're unkillable at this point in the game, and really does mean that they're not going to be killed through the entire game at all now, because you've allowed them to gain so many objectives and really failed to press the trigger on the actual team fights. So, what do I feel that 100 Thieves could have done better this match? Well, obviously, their vision control was quite poor in this game. For the fact that they were easily tracked by FlyQuest, like, it was so easy for them to know what is going on through the entirety of the game, that it essentially meant that they had control over every objective. And yeah, I get that you kind of gave that away by going for Herald without clearing out any vision on it, thinking, oh, they haven't been up here to ward or do. But you still have to check your spot. Like, your support had already roamed up to there. Did he place a control ward? No. Does that mean that it puts your team at risk? Yes. Does that risk come out? Yes. Do you lose because of it? More than likely, yes, because the gold gets ballooned considerably at this point, and you do kind of have to give away so much. And considering you have a Xayah who's literally sat on 1.5 items when you give over Mountain Salt 21 minutes into the game, she's not going to have full crit. She's not going to be that big of a threat to FlyQuest because they've got more gold, they've got a bigger and bulkier team than you, meaning that the Mountain Soul is going to provide so much more than you can probably do. I remember distinctly in the actual game that a full Zoe combo and a bit more damage coming out from Sedge landed onto Ornn, and literally all it did was take out the Mountain Dragon Shield. No real damage was done to the actual Ornn, and that is kind of worrying, considering how quickly and how efficiently FlyQuest played that game. You've got to consider this team a very, very top tier team in the NALCS, and it does make you have to consider, how do we counter this sort of play style other than being first to an objective, as well as clearing out and making sure you can take it quite clearly. And that is quite hard to do. It's like the Clutch Gaming strat from last year, where they literally went to Rift Herald at 8 minutes, took it, and then ballooned their advantage from the turret plating, and how were you meant to keep up with that? It was very, very hard to actually maintain, and it's kind of why I feel that turret plating has kind of ruined a little bit of this season, in terms of the fact that all people do now is rush a Herald at X amount of time, get the turret plating, don't worry about dragons. If the enemy team takes it, that's fine. They need 4 of them to be actually any use. And yeah, that kind of is the killer point of this season, and it's kind of a horcrux that jungle has been nerfed to literally being a secondary support mostly, and it's kind of hard for them to play, and it's very, very. I don't feel good for the meta, shall we say? And apparently, according to pros, they don't like playing Sedge, and that's according to LEC pros. And you don't want to be seeing Sedge back in the meta. These bulky boys, it doesn't work well with how League wants to be as a game, and I understand that fully. And it's very, very hard for me. Not to say that this meta is quite bad, but I'm gonna have to say it's quite bad. But the good thing is, at least the champions that are getting banned are different now. Like, I remember the first 3 weeks of the actual LCS, it was literally a Kali, Lucian, and say maybe a Senna ban. And it's really, really good to see that them 3 bans are gone now, and it's down to, say, Sets and what have you, Yumi now, because it's been very, very effective. But, you know, it's changing, the game's ever changing, and sometimes it gets to a low point, sometimes it's at a high point. But that's going to be it for this Anarchy analysis. I kind of rambled on a bit there at the end of this video. If you enjoyed it, leave a like down below, subscribe if you're new around here if you want to, and I will see you guys later. Peace